Hello, my name is Ali, and welcome to my channel. We are back with Hakuoki Kyotoans, Sanan's route. Let's go. I took off after him, my legs working as hard as they could. Into the dark street we ran. That's so hard to say. We ran. Street, we ran. Yeah, that's not easy. I discovered quickly that half a year indoors did little for my physique, and I was out of shape. After only a few blocks, I was gasping for breath. Yamazaki, who was running ahead of me, suddenly stopped and looked sharply behind us.
No matter what happens, follow this street. Don't look back.
Don't tell me someone's behind us.
You don't need to know that.
Seems like Yamazaki's hunch was right. What should I tell Yamazaki? We are going to say, Yamazaki, you should go. I'll stay behind. Yamazaki, please, you should go.
Don't be a fool. What could you possibly do by staying behind?
If I distract the enemies, then you could go in the meantime. Of course, that pops up.
If we'll need a lure, then it's gonna be me. Run for it.
Yamazaki wasn't looking to take no for an answer, so I nodded in good faith. I looked to what lay ahead for me. Ooh. As I stepped into the next intersection, I saw a flash of metal from the corner of my eye.
Keep going. I'll catch up in a moment. Just keep running until you see a white uniform.
Right. I kept running. I pretended I didn't hear the sounds of swords ringing against one another behind me and ran. My knees felt weak and my legs shook, but I kept going. They'd have to collapse or tear themselves to pieces before I'd stop. Even so, I felt so slow. I wanted to cry out, to scream at my body to go faster. Faster! Ah! A bright light suddenly cut through the darkness, and I placed my hand over my eyes from the glare. My heart stopped. Was it Choshu soldiers? I froze.
What the hell are you doing?
I very nearly began to cry with relief. Hijikata was not dressed in the usual light blue jacket, but rather a bright white uniform, to be seen in dim-lit places. Instead, I simply collapsed as Harada reached out to grab me.
Hey, you alright? If you left the headquarters without permission, Hijikata's gonna kill you.
I grabbed hold of Harada's hand and pulled my body to its feet. I wanted to tell him I had permission to leave and explain it was all right for me to be there, but I was so winded that I could barely speak. Besides, I wasn't sent to Hijikata to make excuses. I took as deep of a breath as my shuttered lungs could manage before speaking. They're meeting at Ikeda. Suddenly, Hijikata's expression changed.
Then they are at Ikeda.
I nodded rapidly.
Are you sure?
Hijikata gestured toward me.
Sanan lost his arm, not his brain. The kid didn't run away. The colonel sent us this message.
I'm pretty impressed you found us. I didn't think you knew Kyoto that well, kid. Yamazaki. I'd finally got some of my breath back, and I did my best to tell them what had happened.
What about the Aizu and the commissioner's men? Are they on their way to Ikeda?
I shook my head. Hijikata thought for a moment, then spoke.
Saito, Harada, you take our men to Ikeda. I need to go deal with something.
Harada and Saito nodded curtly, then turned to their business.
Kyoto will be dangerous for you alone. Stay with us or go with Hijikata.
I still lacked the breath to respond properly, so I simply nodded. We both knew they couldn't leave me here, but whom should I accompany? I think we're going to stay with Hijikata, but let me just double check. Yes, we're going to stay with Hijikata. The prospect of being alone with him was rather frightening, but for reasons I still don't understand, I decided to go with Hijikata. We were quiet for a while. I felt like I should say something, but I wasn't sure what. Instead, I kept quiet. After a moment, he glanced down at me. Butterfly, but wrong person.
Good job with that message. It might have given us the advantage we needed. Or we need, whatever.
I never thought Hijikata of all people would praise me for anything. My heart fluttered momentarily in my chest. But what did he mean by an advantage? If the battle at the Ikeda Inn had begun, it didn't seem like we had much of an advantage at all. We stepped from the alley into the central avenue. Hijikata? Why are we out here on the street?
What kind of man tries to hide all the time?
I blinked, not sure what to make of that. Yamazaki appeared beside us without making a sound. Yamazaki, you're safe. He didn't seem to have been hurt at all, thank goodness. Yamazaki's eyes slid to me for a moment and back to Hijikata. Oopsies.
You're aware of the situation at Ikeda, Aizu? Colonel Sanan ordered me to notify the Aizu and the Judiciary Commissioner, but yeah, I'll have new orders for you in a few minutes. Stick close for now. Understood. Your commander needs to have a word with a bunch of useless bastards.
Deep in his cold eyes, I saw a spark of anger. Ruh-roh. They appeared as the words came out of his mouth, lines of government soldiers marching towards us. There were hundreds of them marching across the entire width of the street, several rows deep. Now I understand why Hijikata took us out into the street. We would have never seen the government force as we shimmied through the back alleys. There was something about their march, so slow and unconcerned, that lit the fires of anger in my eyes. The rest of the men are still fighting at the inn. The Shinsengumi had a few soldiers able to fight, but they were risking their lives for Kyoto. Didn't these men have the same responsibility? Why weren't they rushing to help us at the inn? Perhaps my anger was more obvious than I realized, because Hijikata gave a snort of laughter.
Don't worry. I'll make sure they don't screw us.
He stepped forward into the very middle of the street, directly in front of the advancing soldiers. All he did was move a few feet and turn to face them, but he held such authority in his movement. He could have easily been the head of an army.
The Shinsengumi are currently conducting an official investigation of the Ikeda Inn. You will not interfere. You will not enter the Ikeda Inn.
Even I could see the government men were going to protest Hijikata's proclamation when Yamazaki leaned over to whisper in my ear.
If we let these men walk into the inn, then they'll take credit for subduing the Choshu threat.
What? How could they? After all the Shinsengumi had done, it just didn't seem fair. But it's the men of the Shinsengumi who are risking their lives.
Then you see now how little respect they have for the Shinsengumi. The commander is single-handedly protecting the Shinsengumi right now. If we allow them to step into the Ikeda Inn, they will spread tales of their false heroism. All that we may do here tonight will be in vain if we allow them to front the raid. That is why the commander is trying to prevent the Aizu domain from intruding.
Yamazaki held Hijikata in such high regard. So, when Hijikata said, "We have an advantage," this is what he was referring to.
But we must. You really think you can fit all these men in there? The best you'll be able to do is surround it. Unless you really want to send them in there to die. There's a fight going on. If you value the lives of your men, I suggest you stay put.
Hijikata's tone, as much as his words, left no room for argument. Until the battle ended, he stood his ground, and not a single man challenged him. Finally, the sun rose from the black sky. The raid itself had lasted only 2 hours, but for me, at least it had felt far longer. There had been 20 Imperial nationalists at the Ikeda Inn. The Shinsengumi had killed 7 Ronin and injured 4 more. I learned later that with the help of the Aizu domain and the Kyoto Judiciary Commissioner, they arrested 23 people. The owner of the Ikeda Inn had also been arrested for trying to help the Choshu rebels escape. The Shinsengumi had won an incredible victory, fighting against superior numbers in enemy territory, but they paid dearly for it. Okita had taken a blow to the chest and lost consciousness. Heisuke had been cut on the forehead, and the bleeding refused to stop. Nagakira had injured his left hand. One of the Shinsengumi soldiers lost his life at the inn's rear entrance, and 2 others were severely injured there as well. It didn't seem likely that they would survive. The Kyoto military and judiciary commissioners also fought the Choshu Ronin. With their successful resolution of the Battle of Ikeda Inn, the Shinsengumi had, at last, made a name for themselves. It looked as though the peace in Kyoto had been protected. Never could I have imagined that the ultimate result of their victory would be the end. July 1864. I think that's a weird way to end that last paragraph. No, I may have just read it wrong. I don't know. Even though I've read that, I think, at least 5 times, 6 times already. End of July 1864. Weeks passed since the Battle of the Ikeda Inn. In the meantime, the Shinsengumi grew stricter during their rounds to arrest the numerous outlaw ronin that escaped from the Ikeda Inn. Rumors surfaced of extremists who were plotting to exact revenge on the Shinsengumi. Additionally, there were also problems occurring with warriors spanning from other domains, making things tense around the headquarters. Things were finally settling down. As a result of my efforts during the battle, they grew more encouraging of my involvement. The Shinsengumi allowed me to sweep the area in front of the headquarters on my own. One day, I was cleaning the courtyard with a broom when I heard gentle footsteps approaching me. Oh, I think I actually did the voice that I did for Yamazaki as this dude's. I don't know. I feel bad because I just keep forgetting this guy's voice, and I've been changing it so many different times. And the funny thing is, we have a route for him. So it's like, why am I keep forgetting his voice? Whatever.
Excuse me, but is this the Shinsengumi headquarters?
Oh, yes. The voice came from behind me, so I was caught off guard when answering.
There's just too many dudes, too. You can only have so many male voices when you're a female. You're...
Huh? Hijikata showed up suddenly, as if he telepathically knew I was speaking to someone. Oh, Hijikata, this man is... Before I could finish my sentence, the man ran towards Hijikata.
Oh, I knew it! Toshi! It's me, Hachiro. Long time no see. You're... Wait, Hachiro? What the hell are you doing here?
When Hijikata realized who it was, his eyes grew wide.
Are you surprised? I visited Kyoto with shogunate orders. Forget about me. Man, so it really was you connected to the Shinsengumi. I couldn't believe it until I made sure for myself. Congratulations, you really did become a samurai. Aw, come on, don't mock me. I mean, we're treated no better than any ronin. Yes, but your dream of becoming a samurai came true. Hey, I said don't mock me. Oh, come now, the Shinsengumi are famous in Edo. You are so feared that even crying children go hush. I heard about your victory at the Ikeda Inn. It would seem you lot are flourishing. Flourishing. Where'd I get that from? Flourishing. That made no sense. Well, we're working on it.
Blushing. How very unlike himself. Hijikata seemed to be flustered, and his cheeks were rosy. Judging from their conversation, it appeared that this gentleman had come to visit Hijikata. The rhythm of their rapport seemed to suggest that they had been friends for quite some time. Once I verified their conversation had come to a halt, I mustered the courage to speak to Hijikata. Hijikata? May I ask who this is?
Oh yeah. You two haven't met, I take it? Oh, I haven't introduced myself yet, huh? I'm Hachiro Iba. I am a Hatamoto of the Shogunate Shigisan, and I am an Okuzume of the Obanshi. Oh, jeez.
Oh, I'm Chizuru Yukimura.
Chizuru. Nice to meet you officially.
Oh, yes. Nice to meet you too. And this keeps popping up over and over again. As soon as Iba and I finished our introductions, Hijikata was inclined to get us indoors.
Hey, we don't need to have this conversation out in the sun. Why don't you come inside?
I took tea to the two in the hall. Hijikata told me to remain there, so I decided to listen in.
So you claimed you came to Kyoto with shogunate orders. Sure climbed that social ladder, huh?
An okuzume? I listened intently, but subtly. Still, I was unfamiliar with the contents of their conversation.
He's entrusted with protecting the shogun and his guests and friends who surround him.
Oh, wow. I am honored to meet such a man.
Oh, please. I'm nothing special. This was a job I acquired from connections with my father.
But what would bring a man of his stature here, Hijikata? This meant Iba was someone who worked directly with the shogun. What an honor. It made no sense why he would interact with the Shinsengumi, or he had business with us.
Oh, I see what you're thinking. You're thinking, why would he know a guy like me, huh?
I did my best to nod without offending him.
You see, not only is he a Hatamoto, but he's the heir of the Shingyoto Ryu Iba Dojo, a top 4 dojo in Edo. The Iba Dojo and my dojo socialized often, so this is how we came to know each other.
Yeah, that's right. When I got word that I would be coming to Kyoto, I was excited because I know I would see Toshi.
Whatever. Just keep in mind, Kyoto isn't exactly a vacation destination.
Yes, I'll keep that in mind. However, despite it being so dangerous, it seems even a woman can be with the Shinsengumi. Iba glanced at me when he asked this question before looking at Hijikata. It was a question. Whoops, I didn't read it like one. I gasped and cupped my hands over my mouth, and Hijikata's eyes darted towards me sternly. It would seem Iba picked up on the fact that I was female, judging by their interaction.
Oh, was that supposed to be a secret?
I didn't want to confirm any answers, so I stared towards the mat underneath without speaking.
Well, her reasons for being here are somewhat complicated, so we have her posed as a man for now. Only a portion of the men of the Shinsengumi know about her, so it would be preferred if you were to keep it under wraps in front of our men. Understood. I'll do whatever you ask of me, Toshi.
Iba drew Hijikata in closer, in a jovial manner, and Hijikata blushed at the notion. Hijikata is normally really uptight, so seeing him behave this way was startling. I had a lingering suspicion that Hijikata was actually enjoying himself. All of the commotion must have alerted the captains because they popped up from nowhere.
Oh, what the hell? Hachiro, is that you?
I knew I heard your voice somewhere. It really was you, huh?
Shinpachi, Harada. Everyone else is here too. Long time no see, boys. Man, you're in Kyoto too? Are you here to train or are you sightseeing?
Don't be stupid. I'll bet you he's here to protect someone important or something, am I right?
Well, maybe it's something like that. If you're in Kyoto, I assume you have a pretty good position.
Iba nodded plainly in response.
I see. You're in Kyoto too, huh? Well, be careful. Don't be stupid and die or something.
Thank you for the warning. I'll keep that in mind.
Hey, we should go drinking someday. I mean, we could go now if you want.
Each of the captains surrounded Iba and exchanged words. Most of all, Iba seemed lost in the amount of fun he had while conversing with everyone. I guess he really knew everyone back in Edo. Hijikata watched their interaction with warmth in his eyes and muttered,
See? Despite him being a Hatamoto, and also the heir of the Iba Dojo, he chose to learn about each and every one of us, and he treats us with respect. It seems no one can escape his amiable nature.
He seemed to be especially fond of Hijikata, though. But I couldn't dare say that.
Well, I guess you can say we're friends. Whenever he visits, be sure to let him in.
Understood. Before we knew it, evening had come, and Iba told us that it was time for him to depart.
Well, I guess that means goodbye for now, Chizuru.
Okay. His face seemed reluctant, if not a little forlorn, and he left the compound. I stared at him as he walked into the distance until his small figure was removed from my eyes. Ibo was a mysterious person. Even if he was someone very important and upper class, he acted with integrity and kindness, commanding a lot of respect from the captains of the Shinsengumi. I did not think there was a samurai like him in the shogunate. Okie dokie. And I am going to let you guys go here, August 1864. I hope you are enjoying, and I'm going to wait till this disappears. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.